Hey y'all, welcome to Paige's Perspective, where I help you find your inner strength to cope with life. What does it mean to be present? That's going to be the topic this week. When we discuss being present, what the hell does that even mean? To me, it can mean a few things, but there's this feeling that is often difficult to describe, but I go back to a time in childhood, a time where I would be standing outside with the trees, grass, and a slight breeze. No other human, no electronics, no distractions. I'd have a stick in my hand, drawing in the dirt, maybe writing my name out and making some smiley faces and hearts. I'd look up at the trees blowing in the breeze, feel the warmth of the sun on my face, and I'd soak in nature. I had no thoughts of anything else except what I was experiencing in that moment. It was a calm, peaceful feeling that is indescribable. I had no worries. I was content. To me, this is being present. This is a feeling I can go back to at any time. This is where our mindset is extremely powerful. Acknowledging that we have control over our thoughts if we try hard enough and are aware of the ability to shift them at any time is extremely powerful. When I begin to overthink, this happens a lot during my drives, I find an object, typically a tree, and I go back to the feeling of calmness and being present. It's that feeling I got in childhood. It automatically slows my breath and grounds me. My face softens, my forehead releases, my jaw calms, my body releases the tension. It never fails. This feeling is something I can accomplish at any time as long as I'm intentional. It's always there for me. Some may call it a higher power, God, the universe, grounding, meditation, whatever you want to call it. It's something I believe we all have. And we tend to forget about this feeling when we get into adulthood. And it's something I can't really name. It's powerful, it's meaningful, and it's personal. Now, we aren't monks. We do not necessarily have the ability to be present 100% of the time. We aren't wired that way. However, when we practice being present and finding that feeling, it gets easier to do it multiple times a day. Again, it must be intentional to rewire our brains to come to it anytime we need it. It doesn't necessarily just happen, especially when we have conditioned ourselves to overthink the hell out of things in life. It's our responsibility to shift it if we want to be more content. It's not an easy practice, but it is simple. It is doable. It's something I practice when I want to reach for something I know isn't beneficial to the health of my body. You know, when we're impulsive and just grab that bag of chips or cookie calling to us. I practice when I want to reach for social media. I practice when I feel so overwhelmed in my thoughts and creativity. I practice when I'm overstimulated. I practice when I begin to be really hard on myself. I know I must pause my thoughts to even be productive. You know, the go, go, go mindset doesn't always work. That causes burnout. So going with the flow, that's what works. And that's a separate topic for another day. But this practice I'm describing is what helped me a lot with my anxiety. It's something I do to this day to keep me grounded. And sometimes I forget, but when I remember, it never fails to be there when I need it the most. It's also something I practice when things are going great. It's a feeling I love to chase. Another way to be present is pretty standard. You know, with your family, stay present. No phone, no distractions, just be. Your kids are talking to you, put the damn phone down and listen. Your spouse is trying to talk to you, put the phone down. Give them your attention while they speak. With friends, same. No phone, no distractions. Effing talk to each other or sit in silence. Have you ever tried that? I'm actually really okay with silence. I feel like I'm in the minority when I'm comfortable in silence around others. I know many feel the need to talk, but sometimes it's okay to be present when there isn't anything specific to discuss. Awkward silence is only awkward when we make it awkward. Anyway, being present is why I'm terrible at taking pictures. I don't want to document everything because it takes me away from the actual moment, the moment you cannot get back. And if we focus so much on documenting, we miss the actual moment. Sure, there's a time for pics, but it's not necessary for every damn thing or every event. So we are big on no phones at the dinner table, and I don't allow my kids to have electronics when we go out to eat. I started that when they were babies, and honestly, I hated restaurants that offered those electronic table games, and I would put them aside as much as possible unless their dad would kind of like weasel his way in. But I was okay with coloring, because we'd color together, and it's more creative anyway. But I'm also a believer in teaching our kids to be present, and it's okay to sit without a damn phone. We love to play I Spy at restaurants too. We started that when they were really little. Another way of being present is to just focus on what you're doing right now. Not the conversations you had with your coworker yesterday or thinking about the appointment you have later in the week. Try to bring your focus back to what you are doing right now at this very moment. If you find yourself wandering or your mind wandering, that's okay. It's normal. We're human. I just try to bring my mind back to the present whenever I can. Meditation helps with this as well. It trains our brain that it's okay to be present. But why is being present important? We hear this all the time in the world, like be present, be present, be present. When we're present, we feel safe. We feel as though everything will be okay, even when it's not okay. It helps us respond thoughtfully instead of impulsively. It helps us have more meaningful relationships and conversations. It helps us solve problems easier than if we overthink the issues. It helps us stay grateful because we can see the things in our lives that are meaningful. It encourages us to recognize our emotions without avoidance or distraction. We create more mindful habits like making conscious choices about eating, exercising, and even sleeping. It creates a more intentional life. It helps us understand more clearly what we are in control over. Let's be real. Many of us feel like we are out of control, and that's because we're trying to control everything. When we recognize what we can and cannot control, life becomes much more manageable. This is one of the most beneficial forms of self-care for me. It's what really changed my life. When I was able to do this and practice it, my life changed and I was able to accomplish more than I thought possible. I'd say this was what got me through a lot of my growth during the earlier years of my healing, and it still stands to this day. Again, it's something we all have in common. It's something we are all capable of doing if we are intentional about it. It's true that when we change our thoughts, we change our life, and this is something within our control. Once you try it, you will know the feeling I'm referring to that is difficult to describe. To get started, come up with a word you can remind yourself to say when you want to get out of your head and into the present moment. Something like pause or tree. Something to remind yourself that you can shift your thoughts. That's all I have for this week. Until next time, I'm Paige. Bye.